All right, we're recording, we're ready. Okay, guys, so this is actually, if you jump over to your course, okay, and you're looking at it and you look at the course plan here, we're nearing the end of September, and basically we have our final test I'm going to have you guys do on the 8th. So honestly, this is our last live class that we're going to have. I may do another help session depending on how many of you guys aren't caught up and everything. But you'll have this assignment this week, and then next week you'll have the final test. And then if you look at this, I have about a week and 2 days for catch up. Okay. And somebody on there just mentioned they need to catch up, right? So no worries, right? Like I got plenty of time built in for you guys to catch up, and then we're done with the block, if you can believe that. Block 1 is going to be in the books. So if you are behind, no worries. Just keep pushing along, keep going, and you're almost there. If you look at everything, I wasn't around last week, as I said before, but I know like a lot of you already did the assignment, which thank you. That's awesome. I graded it last night. So if you haven't looked at your score yet, you may want to do that, but you'll see it in here. You can watch the video recording. There's a Nearpod link if you want to follow along on it and go that way. Some people did mention that like after they do the Nearpod link, sometimes it doesn't check off. It doesn't need to check off, just so you're aware, in order to be done. As long as you're doing the assignments, that's what you're graded on. You're not graded on the Nearpod, okay? The Nearpod is basically to help you understand the concept more, especially if you're not in class, or just to keep track when you're following along. All right, so let's go over the last lesson we have, which is talks about politics. I know one of the many things, I guess not many, right? They always say it's one of the things you shouldn't talk over dinner is politics. So sometimes politics can get a little heated. Look, I'm not in here to debate anybody on what's good and what's wrong. I'm not here to basically say that. I'm just going to kind of teach you some facts, that kind of stuff. At the very end, your assignment is going to basically why about politics? So very good question. So maybe I should talk about that first. The reason we talk about politics and geography is because it shapes our culture, okay? And culture is one of the biggest things we look about in geography. And so as we are, I mean, the US has a completely different culture than, let's say, Europe because of the political system that's set up over there. And things can kind of change. The culture can kind of change because of political policies or things like that, right? People kind of nationalism, okay? So some people are very, very, how do I put this? Very staunch in their nationality, that their nationality is number one, that they're better than other nationalities, that kind of thing, right? Other people are more globalist that think we should include all. So there's a lot of different kind of things. I'm not saying what's right, what's wrong whatsoever in this lesson, okay? We're just going to go over kind of U.S. politics as they kind of stand, like how everything works in our system. And then at the very end, you're going to do a little political ideology test. I don't care where you come out at. That doesn't, you believe what you want to believe. But at least you can kind of see where you're at on different issues that are shaping the culture of where you live right now. Okay. So that's why we're talking about politics. Okay, so just so you know, this will be recorded for learning purposes. Remember, virtual classroom expectations, follow along the Nearpod lesson. Use the chat tools respectfully and appropriately. I've actually had to, on this lesson, and I swear I did not like provoke anything. I had to actually shut off the chat. And so if I have to shut off the chat today, I'm more than happy to do that. If you're not going to be, kind of respectful. Okay. Respond to questions and instructions for the first time. We're following along. So our objective today is basically giving a form. You will fill out a political ideology quiz and put the political scale in which the quiz identifies them with 80% accuracy across one trial. Yeah, it was just one class. It was like when things were more heated. I think it was with a lot with like Trump's impeachment, that kind of stuff. Yep. If you have not done certain lessons, go back and do them. I'll go through and grade them so you can get your grade up. Okay. All right. So sometimes this is how I feel. Politics. Yep. Nope. America, we kind of think of a lot as a divided country, and the way the political system was set up is it only lends itself really to two parties. Only two parties can be in control. If a third party comes in, they may take some votes, and we'll talk about that, but really they usually swing it. They'll basically merge into one party or the other. Okay. Yeah, sure. Let me send you out the link real quick. All right. So here is a video that will play kind of on politics. Let me know if you can hear this. Okay, it's not very loud for me, so let me turn it up quick. Can you hear that? When I played it? So some can, some can't. Try to turn your volume up if you can.
There are two main political parties in the United States, the Republicans and the Democrats. What is a political party? Why are there only two main parties? A political party is a group of people who have joined together because they share common principles, common beliefs, and common values, and they seek to control government by winning elections. Members of a party work to convince the government to adopt laws, regulations, and programs which reflect their party's beliefs. Political parties have a long history, both in the United States and in other countries as well. The United States has what is known as a two-party system. A two-party system is a political structure in which only two political parties have a genuine chance of winning elections. However, it does not mean that only two parties are allowed to exist, as there are numerous other smaller parties. The two-party system developed in Great Britain. In the latter half of the 1600s and throughout the 1700s, two political parties, the Whigs and the Tories, emerged and established themselves as the dominant parties. This long-standing tradition of two main parties probably led to the eventual adoption of a similar system in the United States. Initially, the Founding Fathers intended for the American government to avoid politics. In fact, in his farewell address, George Washington warned against the existence of political parties, suggesting that such organizations were the enemies of government and would only distract government from its intended purpose. However, early political disagreements gave rise to the Federalist Party and the Democratic-Republican Party. Since that time, the United States has nearly always had two dominant parties. Currently, the two main political parties in the United States are the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Every political party has what is known as a platform. A platform is a public statement of the party's main beliefs and guiding principles. Each of the stated principles of a platform is known as a plank. Party platforms can be rather lengthy, with modern parties having hundreds of planks. The party will adopt or update its platform every 4 years at the party's national convention. Political parties serve a wide variety of purposes. One of the most important functions a party serves is to nominate candidates. This helps a voter narrow his or her choices. Instead of voters studying a potentially limitless field of candidates, each party selects nominees. This allows the voter to focus attention on just 3 or 4 candidates and make a more informed decision. Another function of political parties is to inform voters. Whether it's through local, grassroots involvement such as letter writing campaigns, or party leaders speaking on television, parties attempt to let the general public know what's going on. This could also take the form of passing out flyers or pamphlets, or staging a large protest rally. The party that is in power can also set the agenda. This means that the party leaders will establish a course for the nation to follow. Whether it's a good course or a bad course would likely determine how long that particular party stayed in power. One final function of political parties is to serve as watchdog. Both parties do an effective job of watching the other party to make sure they are doing the things they are supposed to. If one party becomes corrupt, the other will surely inform the public. So, even though the Founding Fathers did not desire political parties to exist, they will surely continue to be a part of the American political system for years to come.
Down about the political parties in the United States. So just to review real quick, a political party is a group of voters with common interests who want to influence government. The U.S. has a two-party system because there are only 2 main parties that hold most of the power. So the functions they kind of already talked about, they nominate a candidate, they inform voters, they ensure candidates are qualified, they help govern in Congress and state legislatures, and they act as watchdogs, especially for the officials of the other party. And that's why you hear this bickering back and forth, like, well, they did this, and they did this, and they did this, and back and forth. So here's something that's kind of interesting. As I said, there's only 2 main parties, but there are third parties, and how they can kind of affect the vote, these third parties, is how they would happen somewhat like in there. So somebody said like the Bull Moose Party. Yeah, the Bull Moose Party is long gone, but that happened quite a bit ago. Very good question. We could talk about that in just a second, William, about why Utah is a mostly Republican state. And we'll talk about that in a second. So in 1992, this is when Bill Clinton was running his first term against President H.W. Bush at the time. And so there was another candidate named Ross Perot that came in, and he took up a lot of the votes. And so what happened is it actually changed the votes from the Republicans over to the Democrats, right? And so that is one of the big reasons why Clinton won the election in 1992. So political parties today in the U.S., we have the Republican Party. So maybe let's jump back to the question real quick that William had. So William said, why is Utah all Republicans? And I wouldn't say it's all Republicans. There are a lot of counties in Utah. So talking about like Salt Lake County is mostly Democratic. A lot of what is it? Where Park City and Heber City is. One of the main reasons that it is Republican, a lot of it is you still have a lot of rural areas. Okay, so that's one thing to think of. So rural areas mostly make up, farmers, people more independent, and they lean to more vote Republican. Okay, because they want government away from them. They don't like government in their lives, and that's one of the things that they want less taxes. They want the government to spend more. They want to control like their own kind of things. Big cities usually tend to vote more democratic because they see the benefit of social programs, because in big cities you have a lot of social programs that are ran and they benefit from those social programs. Okay. So that is one thing. So what'd you say? What would you say in, oh man, there's so many things coming up here. There's a lot of aspects of why they're so Republican. Some said due to religion. So I think religion does play an impact in Utah, in the way we vote. A lot of the Republicans usually vote for things like not having abortion. They're more conservative on social issues, which can be for religion. History, it's kind of interesting because history that back in the early 1900s, the Utah was more of a Democratic state than that. So let's see here. Fitting term, I guess. Okay, most big cities are Democrat. That's good. Would you say in general farmers are more or less educated? Honestly, it depends on the farm. I know I went to school with some farmers, and all of them have bachelor's degrees, right? And they know how to run businesses, and they work really well. So I can't really say if a farmer is more or less educated at all. Is that laugh? What is the staff chat? Oh yeah, so the laughing thing was a chat that we'd have with all our teachers. Yep. Okay. Yeah, politics. Let's see here. I hope it doesn't cause any arguments. Let's see here. They might be educated in different things than other people. I wouldn't masters and so. No, not at all. I mean, it just kind of depends on. I mean, all of us have our different experiences, right? Of the way we grew up, how we grew up, that kind of stuff, right? And we all come to the table with different perspectives. It doesn't mean that we need to be so divisive, right? I don't think so. We have a lot more in common, I think, than we kind of lead on to believe, right? We more become divided on these little tiny issues, but the issues of us wanting our freedom, being able to have free speech, to be able to enjoy, I guess, the society we live in, right? I think those are all things that we can agree upon. Okay. Okay, so somebody said when the Republican Party was more founded, it was more. Yeah, so I guess you'd say here, when we talk about, maybe I'll move on just a little bit. So the Republican Party, okay, it was born over the dispute of slavery. Okay, Lincoln was the first Republican president, and it was more of a liberal, if you want to put it that way, as Christian mentioned, a more liberal policy to allow slaves to be free, right? That was kind of a liberal thing back in the day. It's like, why would you do that? But they tend to support stronger state governments. They don't like change as much. They're more traditional in what they're doing. They usually look at like less taxes on the rich and less government spending. Okay, and their symbol is the elephant. And so here are some prominent members of the Republican Party. This was done a while ago. This presentation was created a while ago before President Trump. So I guess he would be somewhat kind of the leader on there at this point in time until they have somebody run against President Biden in the next election. Okay. I'm trying to catch up on all your guys' comments. Okay. All right. I think we got one over there. Okay. The next one's the Democratic Party. And this one's older than the Republican Party. It started with Jefferson. And so basically his roots, they call themselves the Democratic Republican Party. They tend to support stronger federal government. They're more apt to change. So that's why people like change in society that usually tend to dissuade more to vote for the Democratic Party. They agree with taxing the rich more, and then also spending more on government social programs such as welfare. And then the symbol is the donkey. And here are some prominent members. And I guess, as I said, since this is a little bit older, it doesn't have the lead. Basically, whoever is the president or the presidential candidate at that time usually kind of is the quote unquote leader of that party, right? And so President Biden would be kind of the figurehead of the Democratic Party right now. Okay, so here's the fill in the blank that you guys need to do. Okay, and I'll try to look at all these. A lot of comments are coming in, but if you go and you can just pull this over to whichever one is which. All right. And so if you remember, the Republican Party was Lincoln. Jefferson did the Democratic Party. And we have those kind of a little bit kind of the platforms there. Okay. So remember, Democrats, they think a strong central government. So the federal government should be in charge of more, not local government. They call federalist, which means that the federal government should kind of control things. They're socially liberal. They loose interpretation of the Constitution, so meaning that Constitution should have been evolving over the years to meet society's needs. They believe a lot in free market limitation by the government, and they lean towards what's called the left. And what that means is when they're sitting in their chambers, that's set up where on the left of the Speaker of the, if you're facing the Speaker of the House or the Senate President, on the left is where all of your Democrats kind of sit, and on the right is there. So when they're talking about when you lean one way or another, that's what it's kind of talking about. Okay, Republicans, they believe that local control is better, so the state should be able to control more things. They are anti-federalists, which means they do not believe that the federal government should control things as much more. They're socially conservative. That means on issues that social issues, you should be, I don't know how, like the biggest one out there, I think that kind of is kind of like abortion, right? So basically they do not want abortion to happen. The Democrats think it's a choice of the woman. There's strict interpretation of the Constitution, so they should follow it there. Free market economy. So basically that kind of a dog eat dog economy. Whoever is the leading person should be able to make a bunch of money, as much money as they can, right? And they lean towards what's called the right. So we kind of talked a little bit about third parties. We did have that little case study where we talked about Ross Perot. They rarely win elections. You do have, for example, an independent that's actually in, I think there's a couple, but they usually caucus with the Democrats. So if you didn't know, so one of the big independents in the U.S. Senate is Bernie Sanders. And so he actually goes and what they say caucuses with the Democratic Party. So, okay. However, we talked about like in that case study, they can affect elections. The reasons why they fell is they don't get enough votes on the ballot. They have trouble raising money like the Democrats and the Republicans, and they lack name recognition. So right versus left-wing people who hold more traditional values are considered right, and left people who support more change in society kind of lean more to the left. So hopefully that kind of tells you what's the difference between left and right. So hopefully that kind of explained it. All right, so this is what we're going to do. This is your assignment. I just put it in the chat. So you're going to go to this PBS thing. So this is called the Pew Research, okay? So all you need to do is you go into lesson 6, right? You're going to go to your assignment. I'm going to preview it for you. Okay, it's asked you only 2 questions, okay? You have the link right in here, so you can do it there. Did you take the test? Yes. To get points on it, you have to say you took the test, right? And then all you got to do is take it. The quiz is right here. So once you go to this link at the bottom, you just hit quiz. And you are going to go next, and you're going to start things. So it's going to ask you some questions. Has 17 questions, and then it's going to kind of rate you kind of on a scale, okay? Okay, so it's which of the following statements comes closest to your views? And that's what you're going to do. The government should do more to help the needy Americans, even if it means going deeper into debt. The government today can't afford to do more for needy people, right? So you just click one or the other, go on to the next, right? Which of the following statements comes close together? Government is almost always wasteful and inefficient. I kind of believe that. Government often does a better job than people give credit for, okay? So you're just going to answer these questions. And then at the very end, it says, you are a blank. And you just copy what it is. And you come over here and you put it into, just paste it right into there, whatever it is, and submit. And that's what your assignment is. How do you get the quiz link? You either go to the quiz, it's right here, I put in the chat, or it's on your lesson 6 assignment in the quiz. You just open up the assignment, go. It's right there. You click it. And I'm just going to go back real quick because, or let me click it again real quick. So you click it right here. You click quiz right here. So it goes to PBS NewsHour Extra and you click quiz. And you just go through it. Okay. Perfect. All right. So that is what it is. If you do have any questions or anything like that, please reach out. This is our last live class. So now it's kind of catch up, and you also need to take the final test. I'm going to show you where that is. If you go to content, go final test and take that. That's due October 8th. And then you have about a week and a half to do everything before the block ends. So thing closed on you. Okay, just go and do it again. It's not a big deal. You're going to have to do it again. But all right, I am going to stop the recording.